Hi, this is Frid from the Drive Syntax and English in Color. And I am in the middle of making a video about dangling participle constructions. And while I was doing that, or while I was busy with all kinds of stuff, I received an email that contained another prepositional dangler. And so I thought I would really like to share that with you. So let's go to my PowerPoint. Here we go. Oops, I'm in the way. Let me move it myself out of the way. There we go. Okay, this is what it said. As authors, it's our job to ask ourselves, what if? After years of developing online strategies for selling and marketing books, and after helping tens of thousands of authors grow their careers, that question became, what if there were one online platform that could handle all your book marketing and audience growth needs in one place? Okay, those are two sentences, one long one, one short one, and I'm going to fix them. Let's see. Okay, as authors is a prepositional phrase. Now, as authors refers to somebody speaking in the first person who is an author, or either I as an author or we as authors. But we have here instead an impersonal subject, it. It is our job to ask. So we actually have an impersonal, a preparatory subject to ask ourselves the questions. What if is our job? That would be the clause or the sentence without the preparatory subject. English and German too like to do that. That when the subject is fairly long, that then we use an impersonal subject and add or a preparatory subject or an anticipatory subject. There are all kinds of names for that. And then add the true or semantic subject as a sort of modifier inside of the subject complement, the predicate complement, whatever you want to say about that, or however you want to call it. So the impersonal subject, the preparatory subject, is certainly not an author. And it doesn't refer to the author. It doesn't prepare the way for the author. So when you start with what is actually a sort of predicate, a positive, and then it doesn't really refer to the subject that follows in the main clause, this creates a sort of hiccup that we don't really find pleasant as readers. We might not really notice it, but it sort of trips us up. It's so much nicer to avoid that when you write, because you don't want to trip up your readers. Let's fix this. There are many, many different ways in which we can fix it, but if we retain the prep phrase in initial position, we need to dig out the subject, and the subject is we. So as authors, we have to ask ourselves, what if? Now, I offered two different ways of parsing this. This is a different issue, but I think it's good to remember this. Have to is considered a modal that is used with the with the infinitive plus to. But in a way, this is an old form. And we could really say this is the normal verb have in the sense of possess, and it is followed by an infinitive construction. And the infinitive construction is to ask ourselves, what if? So these are two different ways of analyzing the sentence, parsing the sentence. Either we say have is a modal here, and it requires an infinitive with the preposition or the marker to. Whether we call that a prepositional infinitive or an infinitive with the marker to is a different issue, which I address in my book, and I can also make a video about that, but I'm not going to talk about it now. So there we have two different issues here. We have the issue of fixing the dangler And we did that, or I did that for you. And we can parse the main clause in two different ways. And I'm not, I personally like the second way better. I kept the one here because it's the first sentence I am fixing, not because I lost count or cannot count further than one. Anyway, so we have two different issues. We have the dangling participle, dangling prepositional phrase, and we have the issue of how do we parse the main clause. Okay, let's look at the next one. The next one is also a prepositional phrase, but it is a different one. This one is actually a reduced clause that is a reduced adverbial clause, and the prepositional phrase functions as adverbial. That's why it's marked green. Now, listen to it. After years of developing online strategies for selling and marketing books, so someone is doing development. And after helping tens of thousands of authors grow their careers. Now, again, do you see? This one is not a predicate positive, so it doesn't speak to the subject. So there is not this obvious disconnect. However, when you look closely, you see that the prepositional phrase, the prepositional compound phrase, is actually a reduced structure. And we could actually unreduce this and say, after we had developed online strategies for selling and marketing books, and after we had helped tens of thousands of authors grow their careers, and then it goes on. And then we actually would also expect we came up with something, or we thought of something. So when you unreduce the reduced clause, then you become more aware that it's really not helpful for the reader if you switch subjects. So the implied subject of the reduced clause is we. And the stated subject of the main clause is that question. So again, we have a disconnect, even though we are not dealing with an initial predicate positive here. For those of you who are confused by the terminology I'm using, please go back to some videos that I made. I made a video about clause elements and about the predicate positive, and also about dangling prepositional phrases. So it would be helpful for you to go back to those if you're confused. And if after that you're still confused, you can contact me. Okay, so I changed the subject, and my improved version looks like this. After years of developing online strategies for selling and marketing books, and after helping tens of thousands of authors grow their careers, we turned that question into, what if there were one online platform that could handle all book marketing and audience growth needs in one place? And I actually took "you're" out because in the two sentences that we've looked at so far, the speakers were more concerned with themselves and not yet with the audience that they had. So I didn't want to keep the "you." But that's a question for you to decide when you write. I hope you found this helpful. And before I go, there's another thing. I wanted to remind you that there are pure conjunctions, and then there are three hybrids that are actually sometimes prepositions and sometimes conjunctions. And I talk about this more in my book. I think it's really interesting. The three words that are both, that can be either prepositions or conjunctions, are before, since, and after. And in fact, they can also be adverbs. And I'm going to give you here an example of after as an adverb, preposition, and a conjunction. Dinner was at 6 and we arrived shortly after. Clearly, it's an adverb here. After lunch, we decided to go for a walk in the park. After is a preposition here, and it's followed by a noun. After eating lunch, we decided to go for a walk in the park. And here you see, this is clearly still a prepositional phrase. We have here a gerund, I'd argue, because it's a preposition, and after a preposition we need noun-like structures. But clearly the gerund has, you see or you sense that there is an actor hiding in there. There is action, and then whenever there's action, there's an actor. And you sense that the actor that is implied in the prep phrase is then the actor in the main clause. So, and when we unreduce this prep phrase and turn it into a full clause, we see it after we had eaten lunch. Oh shit! I forgot that we decided to go for a walk in the park. So you see that these examples show you, first of all, that after can be an adverb, a preposition, and a conjunction. And this example sentence also explains to you again that reduced clauses that do not have a stated subject usually have an implied subject. And then you have to make sure that this implied subject does not jar with the stated subject of the clause to which the structure has been attached. Okay, now I'm done, and I hope this helped you. And if you enjoyed this, you might want to buy my book, or you might enjoy booking a session with me. I offer one-on-one sessions and also group coachings. Okay, I will see you in the next video, and I wish you a very nice day. Okay, done sharing. Bye-bye.